Okay, so this time we will start intermediate operations. Intermediate operations transform a stream into another stream. They are the workers in your data pipeline, filtering unwanted elements, transforming values, sorting, and more. So the key characteristics is that they are lazy. No processing happens until a terminal operation triggers execution. Understanding intermediate operations. Every intermediate operation takes a stream and returns a new stream. This allows chaining multiple operations into a fluent pipeline. So we know we have two categories: stateless operations, stateful operations, process each element independently. Okay, need to see multiple elements before producing output. We have discussed those a lot, right? So why does this matter? Stateless operations can start producing output immediately. A filter can pass an element forward the moment it checks it, but sorted has to wait for every single element to arrive before it can produce even the first result. That makes our stateless operations faster and much better suited for parallel processing. For parallel streams or large streams, this distinction matter, right? For stateless operations, they consume like zero extra memory, but for stateful operations, they store internal buffer. Let's say we have very large collection, then basically we need that same amount or the filtered amount memory, okay, for stateful operations. That's it for now, and we can move forward. Filter, selecting elements. Filter keeps elements that match a condition, and we know that filter use predicate, right? That match a condition and discards the rest. It takes a predicate, a function that returns true or false. So you can see those functional interfaces like core functional interfaces. You will see those in JDK everywhere. Those and generics. Think of it as a security checkpoint. Every element walks up, shows its credentials, and either gets in or gets turned away. Okay. And if that element pass one condition that we are looking for, then we will call the downstreams except method. Okay. We have discussed these things. So we can move forward. Chaining multiple filters, we can do that. Combined into one equivalent, sometimes clearer. Okay, you can use that. Both produce same result. Use whichever reads better. Separate filters are nice when each condition is a distinct business rule. Okay. Okay, now next one is map, transforming elements. Map transforms each element into a provided function. It takes function, okay, like different another functional interface, and produces a stream of the new type. We know that this one will function will convert our type. Okay, so this one will return stream this time. The important thing, map is one-to-one. Every input element provides exactly one output element. The stream size stays the same, unlike filter, which can reduce it. Okay, that's why in the next sync or in wrap sync, we pass the exact size we got from previous sync in map to the next downstream sync. Okay, if we got -1, then definitely we will pass -1. But if we, let's say, if we got any number 3, then we will pass 3. So let's say we have this one and transform to uppercase. So dot map, we can create one stream, then we can collect its result. Same for extract a property from objects, transform to a completely different type, string to integer, then we can also do that. Okay, we have seen this kind of syntax in our generics method reference. So you can notice how our this string to length, okay, change the stream type from string to string integer. That's the power of map. You can convert elements to any type you want. Now next one is flatMap, flattening nested structures. We have one problem with map. Let's say we call map the transformer, right? It can like convert types. So what if our mapping function produces one collection or basically one stream for each input element? So if we use map, then we will get stream of arrays and nested. that one. Okay. So let's say you have this one. Using map, each sentence becomes a string. So you get stream of like arrays of strings. So not what we want. Sentences dot stream. Okay. Dot map s dot split, then to list. So we will get something like this. Hello world, like this, and Java streams, nested arrays. And what we wanted is, we wanted something like this, but map gave us a list of arrays. Each element mapped to multiple things, and map doesn't know how to unwrap that. First, we got this string, right? And in this one, we splitted this one, and we know that dot split returns one array. After this one, we are returning this array of strings. And now we can collect this one, right? So with the help of map, we can only do this one. Each element produces a one stream, so all streams merge into one. Sentences dot stream dot flatMap arrays dot stream. So we can use here arrays dot stream. So basically here we will get each element streamed. Okay, and in the end, we will get one list of all words from all sentences. And you can also see its implementation. So hello world splits into a stream of like this, hello and world. So first we will process hello, then world, and same goes for our Java streams. So this one splits into a stream of these, and then flatMap merges both streams into one. Now here we can create result sentences dot stream. That's fine. So we are getting one suggestion for map. We can do this one with flatMap. So now we got one suggestion, flatMap s dot. Okay, so stream dot of, that's also fine. S dot stream, s dot split. Okay, let's take this. Now we can print this one. We can also do this one here. Okay, let's test this one as well. We have not seen this. So we can compile this. We can just run this one. So we got this. We can also use here arrays dot stream. That's completely fine. Compile this, run this one. So same result. Okay. Now we got the idea. Each input element will produce one stream. Okay. And then that stream will emit these one by one based on condition. So based on this split method. Now we can see next one, which is another common use cases. Okay, real world examples, that's fine. Rule of thumb, if your map is producing a stream of collections or arrays like stream something like this or stream something like this, then we probably want flatMap. Okay, now next one is distinct, removing duplicates. Distinct removes duplicate elements, keeping only the first occurrence, and it uses equals to decide if two elements are the same. So equals and hash code. If you are using custom object, then definitely you will provide the correct implementation for these two functions. Okay, remember this for all like sorting kind of things, also in distinction as well. And basically internally we will be using linked hash set, not hash set for this one. So that will cost us ON. Okay, so for built-in types like string, integer, distinct works out of the box. For your own objects, depends on your equals and hash code implementation. Let's say you have one this one class and string name int is, you have one constructor here. So no equals hash code overridden. Then if you do something like this, list student list dot off. Okay, and now if you do students dot stream, and if you provide the same data, right? So students dot stream dot distinct dot count, you will get 2 here, both capped because equals checks reference. Now we can see distinct by name using a set to track scene values. Has set, okay. unique by name, students.stream.filter, scene.add, returns false if already present. All right. Then memory cost, distinct must internally remember every element it has seen. So for very large streams, this means it builds up a growing set in memory. Right. So same implementation and same kind of philosophy we have for sorted ordering elements. Sorted also arranges elements in order without arguments. It uses natural ordering. The elements must implement comparable. With a comparable, you define custom ordering. Okay. So let's say we have this one list collection and natural ordering. So sorted, we will get alphabetical sorting. Okay. For reverse ordering, we can pass our custom comparator, comparator.reverse order. For custom, like for length, we can also pass, and we have seen these kind of syntaxes, right? So we can see this one. Okay, we can create here one constructor. Now, if we run this one, no compile time error, right? And in runtime, we got this class cast exception. And to fix this, either we can provide our comparator here, or we can provide comparable here. We have seen comparator here, right? Extends comparable. So to fix this one, either we can provide our custom comparator here, and that you can see also here. Okay. But we can also do one more thing. And we also have seen this one, but let's just implements. We can do comparable. We are getting suggestion, so that will be quick. We just have to override one method that will be compared to. So here we can return by length, but we can also do something on tie-up condition. Okay, so we can do something here. Let's say length int result. That will be our secondary condition. So length def this dot name dot length. Okay, we can use this. We are getting one suggestion. Okay, if that is not equals to 0, then we will return this one. Otherwise, we will return just by alphabetically. So we have seen this one can produce sometimes, errors. Now we can use here integer.compare. Okay. This time, everything is good. Alice, Bob, we can also create here. Okay, that's fine. Maybe we can create, okay, correct this one. Okay. So first we will do based on lengths, right? Put A here. Okay, so now we can see, and also we can print here our students. So we have not provided toString implementation, right? So this time we will get references. You can also see just quick revision kind of thing. Okay, we can provide that. We got one suggestion that will be quick, and also we can store this one, and this one will be of type student, right? Result equals to students. So that's fine. Now we can compile this. We can run this one. So you can see we got here, okay, students. We can do that as well. Okay, so now you can see we got Bob, then all right. So now you can see we got this this output. Okay, and this capital B is ASCII value is less than this small a. Okay, and if we want case insensitive, then we can put here ignore case. Compile this, run this. Now we can see we got this. So this is how we can do some practice. Okay. All right, peak debugging streams. Peak performs an action on each element without changing the stream. So it's mainly useful for debugging, seeing what flows through each stage of the pipeline. Okay. So notice something interesting in that output. Filter and map run interleaved. So not all filters first, then all maps. Each element goes through the entire pipeline before the next element enters. This is because streams process elements one at a time through the chain. Okay, so best practices for peak. Use it for debugging, logging only. Remove peak calls before deploying, that's fine. Now next is limit and skip slicing streams. These operations control how many elements flow through. So takes only the first n elements, discarding the rest. Skip and discard the first 10 elements, passing the rest through. So some other methods, okay, definitely you can check those, easy. Working with infinite streams, limit is what makes infinite streams usable. Okay, without it, infinite stream would run forever. Limit is a short circuiting operation. Once it has collected enough elements, it tells the stream to stop producing more. That's why it can tame an infinite stream. Okay, now next one is takeWhile, dropWhile. They were added in Java 9. They work differently from filter in an important way. takeWhile predicate takes elements as long as the condition is true. The moment it hits the first element that fails, it stops. So no more elements pass through, even if later elements would match. Okay, another one scenario, dropWhile drops elements as long as the condition is true. Once an element fails the condition, it passes that element and all remaining elements through. Okay. Okay, so some conditions we check before we call downstream.accept method, okay, in our own sync. Some things like that. That's fine. How is this different from filter? Filter checks every element, right? And takeWhile, dropWhile stop checking after the first failure. This makes takeWhile useful for sorted order data where you want to stop processing at a boundary, like give me all transactions before March from a date sorted list, something like that. Now we can also do combining operations kind of things. Okay, now next one is combining operations, the real power. So find top 3 highest paid active employees names. Employees dot stream. You have one employees data, okay, of your own custom types. So dot filter employee is active, right? You have one field, so you can assume some things like that. Then sorted get salary dot reversed dot limit 3 dot map dot get name. Okay, why filter comes before sorted? This is also one performance related thing. So let's say if you have 10K employees, but only 2K are active, filtering first means sorted only has to sort this much instead of this much. So always reduce the data set early. Now you can see operation reference table, filter, map, flat map, distinct, sorted, peak, escape, takeWhile, like that. Now we have quick summary and we can move forward.